80 to 90% of adult sexuality issues that my colleagues treat can be traced back to ages birth through 7. Susanne Roursgaard and Stine Krage have been doing this work for decades. And what they found that causes and holds genital armor in place has very little to do with adult sexuality issues.
Years ago, I would often refer to the genital de-armoring as sexual de-armoring, and I've stopped using that word together with pelvic de-armoring, genital de-armoring, because it gives people a wrong idea about what they're going to find in that area, what we're going to connect with. And even when people come to me and they come for something which is a sexological issue in their adult life and it's linked to their genitals, in the majority of the work, when we start diving into what's blocking them, what's not flowing, they will regress down to small children. And that can be anything from a baby to, typically up to the 6, 7 years of age. And it's not rare that people are somewhere between 2 and 5 when they regress back down. And they're often deeply shocked when they discover that, oh, but I came to you with this, adult sexuological issue. And then when we ended up really getting into the tissue, then it was like Stine said, it was this part of, I was not accepted for who I was. Or every time I had an opinion, I was told that, no, that's not how the world is. Or, if they had an emotion that was not household approved, then, even if they were never told you can't have that emotion, everybody would immediately do, a lot to get them to change their emotional state, which is also an indirect way of saying, you might feel like that right now, but that part of you is not welcome. So we have so much of this. We're not welcome the way we are. We're not accepted the way we are, which we get in contact with when we do work in the pelvic region. And I would say only between 10 and 20% of the genital work I do stay linked to asexual or more adult sexuality aspect. It ends up becoming much more deep foundational psychological blockages, self-worth, lack of self-worth, the guilt, the shame, and a lot of the negative inner voices that we create when we're small, the I'm not good enough, I'm too much, I'm not lovable, that voice that we then spend our entire adult life disproving and making sure nobody ever sees about us.
I'm really fascinated by this theme because, to both of your points, I'm fascinated by how adult clients come in wanting or thinking that it's an issue around sexuality. And it's really a core wound that has to do more with their relationship with themselves and the world, right? As you mentioned, whether it's not good enough or I'm taking too long or I'm not lovable, and how all of these themes show up in our sexuality. And so people, understandably think it's about sex, but it's really, it goes back to those initial touch and relational imprints from when we're very, very young. I find that so fascinating. I imagine your clients get blown away, because they think they're coming in wanting to have their first orgasm or feel more sensation. And then they realize it's like a totally different, the core wound is a totally different thing that's showing up in other areas of their life. To go deeper into this work, start where my clients start, the free genital awakening meditation at rahichun.com.